The movie begins with a boy named Matt Murdock who lives in Hell's Kitchen, New York. The boys in his neighborhood frequently bother him. Matt's father, Jack Murdock, was a well-known boxer during his time, but after Matt is born, he stops boxing and begins drinking all day. Even though Jack is addicted to alcohol, he works extremely hard to pay for Matt's education because he wants Matt to have a better future. One day, Matt discovers that his father works for some bad guys. Matt has always viewed his father as a hero, but when he sees him threatening innocent people, his heart breaks. He flees, shocked. As he runs, a truck nearly hits him. The driver quickly turns the truck to save Matt, but as a result, some hazardous chemical containers on the road burst open. Matt gets covered in chemicals. Matt loses his vision as a result of the terrible accident, but something strange happens in his body. His other senses become extremely strong. Despite his inability to see, he can clearly feel and sense everything around him. When Matt awakens from his coma, he is terrified because he has no idea how to control his new abilities. Soon, his father enters his room and delivers the bad news. He is now blind, but Matt already knows. Instead of crying, Matt gives strength to his father, who feels terrible that this happened because of him. Over the next few months, Matt works extremely hard and gradually learns to live without his eyes. Jack is inspired by his son's courage and decides to return to boxing. He trains for months and finally returns to the ring after many years. Inspired by his father's hard work, Matt begins boxing training. He realizes that his senses, such as hearing and touch, are becoming sharper by the day. He quickly becomes so skilled that it feels as if the entire city is his playground. Matt is no longer afraid thanks to his new powers. Even the bullies in his neighborhood can't hurt him anymore. If anyone bothers him, Matt responds with great strength. One night, when Jack returns from a boxing match, he is visited by a man named Fallon. Fallon is the leader of the gang that Jack works for. He tells Jack to return to work for him, but he refuses. Then Fallon reveals a startling truth. All of the fighters Jack recently defeated were working for Fallon, and Fallon told them to lose. Now, Fallon has bet that Jack will lose his next fight. He threatens Jack with losing on purpose or putting himself and his son in danger. To protect Matt, Jack decides to lose the fight. However, as he falls to the ground during the match, he hears Matt's voice encouraging him on. This gives him the courage to fight back. Jack gathers all of his strength and strikes his opponent with a powerful blow. Fallon becomes enraged when he sees this. He is not prepared to let it go so easily. That night, something terrible occurs. Some gangsters apprehend Jack and beat him severely. By the time Matt arrives, his father has died. Now Matt is completely alone. In that moment, he decides to help those in need while also teaching a lesson to those who cause harm. 20 years later, Matt is a successful lawyer. Because of his abilities, he can detect lies immediately. He works hard to ensure that his clients receive justice. However, criminals do occasionally use money to avoid prosecution. When this occurs, Matt takes the law into his own hands. At night, he dons his Daredevil costume and goes on secret missions. One day, a criminal named Jose Quesada is celebrating in a bar. He bribed the judge and is now free after doing something horrible to a woman a few months ago. Suddenly, Daredevil appears to punish him. Jose's gang begins shooting at Daredevil, but no bullet hits him. He effortlessly beats up all of the gang members. Daredevil hears the gunfire from afar and avoids it. After defeating everyone, Daredevil pursues his true target, Jose. Jose flees and hides at a train station with a revolver in his hand. Daredevil, however, quietly apprehends him from behind. Just as Daredevil is about to finish him, a loud train approaches. Daredevil screams in agony because he can hear even the smallest sound and the train noise is too loud for him. Jose seizes this opportunity, pulls out his gun, and attempts to kill Daredevil. But before he can shoot, Daredevil pushes him onto the railway tracks. Within seconds, Jose is run over by a speeding train. The police later discover Jose's body, which has been cut into 2 pieces. Soon after, a man named Ben Urich arrives on the scene. He wants to gather evidence to prove Daredevil is behind this. Meanwhile, Matt returns home, removes his suit, and begins to take a bath. He suddenly hears the sound of a woman being shot. To improve his hearing, he keeps his ears underwater all night. The next morning, Matt and his law partner Foggy read a newspaper article claiming Daredevil is to blame for Jose's death. Matt claims that all of the stories are made up and that there is no real Daredevil. However, Foggy believes Daredevil exists and says he will meet him someday. Then Foggy tells Matt that they should take more cases, even if the clients can pay well, because they have only fought for innocent people who do not have much money. However, Matt refuses, stating that working for criminals would be completely wrong. Matt hears the footsteps of a girl entering the restaurant. Electra Nachios walks in, and Matt is instantly drawn to her scent. He decides to speak to her, Even after a brief conversation, Elektra refuses to reveal her name. She takes her coffee and exits. However, Matt can't stop thinking about Elektra, so he decides to follow her. When Elektra realizes someone is following her, she attacks Matt. Despite his blindness, Matt is able to defend himself easily. Some children playing nearby gather to watch their fight. Finally, Matt defeats Elektra, but just then Elektra kicks his leg and pushes him onto a bench. Finally, feeling proud of herself, she tells Matt her name. Elektra's bodyguards arrive just then, and she says her goodbyes before leaving. Matt discovers that Elektra is the daughter of Nicholas Nachios, a billionaire businessman. Before leaving, Elektra assures him that they will meet again soon. Meanwhile, Nicholas goes to see Kingpin. He wants to end their partnership because he is tired of the threats and does not want to jeopardize his family's safety. As a result, he offers Wilson Fisk his share of the business. Back at the office, Matt discovers that a new client has arrived to meet him. Steve is the man accused of killing Lisa, a woman, but after only a few minutes of talking with Steve, Matt realizes he is innocent, so he agrees to handle Steve's case. Matt decides to investigate Lisa's house on his own in order to find the real killer. When he runs his hand over the carpet and smells the blood, he realizes Lisa was shot inside the house and dragged out. Matt touches Lisa's table and notices some letters and numbers scratched into it. He asks Foggy to record them in his notebook. After a few weeks, Steve appears in court. Matt presents all of the evidence he has gathered to prove Steve's innocence. Elektra approaches Matt following the hearing. He is very happy. He takes her to the rooftop of an old building from which he used to watch the entire city as a child. Matt tells her that it will rain soon. He claims he can hear every drop of rain falling to the ground, and when the rain touches his eyes, he feels as if he can see again. Just then, it starts to rain, and Matt believes he can see Elektra. He is deeply moved by her beauty and decides to kiss her. However, he suddenly hears sounds of a fight nearby. Matt bids Elektra farewell and rushes off to fulfill his duty, despite his desire to stay. He soon finds the gangster and severely beats him up. He warns him to avoid Hell's Kitchen. However, the gangster reveals that the area now belongs to Kingpin. Suddenly, Daredevil notices the gangster's son standing nearby, terrified and crying. This makes Matt sad. The next morning, he heads straight to church. There, he meets Father Everett. The father invites him to come to church whenever he needs peace of mind. Later, when Matt returns to his office, he is invited to a party. It includes a +1, which means he can bring someone with him. When Foggy hears this, he quickly agrees to accompany Matt. At the hotel, a journalist named Ben Urich hands Matt his card and says he wants to speak with him about something very important. At that point, Foggy notices Wilson Fisk. He walks right up to him and introduces himself and their law firm. Tonight, Foggy hopes to meet wealthy people and gain new clients. However, Matt immediately states that he cannot work for Wilson because their law firm only represents innocent people. Following that, Matt begins looking for Elektra in the hallway. He quickly finds her by following her scent. He apologizes for leaving unexpectedly the other night. Then they begin dancing together. Meanwhile, a dangerous gangster known as Bullseye arrives in New York. He murders an innocent person and steals his motorcycle. Back at the party, Nicholas smiles as he sees his daughter Elektra dancing with Matt. But then Wilson sneaks up behind him, terminates their partnership, and places a rose in Nicholas's pocket. Nicholas immediately recognizes that his life is in danger. He quickly departs the party with his bodyguards. When Elektra notices her father leaving in a hurry, she suspects something is wrong and goes to confront him. Nicholas instructs Elektra to go home immediately with the bodyguards. She doesn't fully understand, but she says her goodbyes to Matt and departs. Matt is worried about Elektra's safety, so he quickly dons his Daredevil costume and follows her. Soon, he notices a man riding a motorcycle chasing Elektra's car. Matt understands that Elektra and Nicholas are in danger. Bullseye throws 2 sharp blades from his belt, killing both the driver and the bodyguard. Elektra's car collided with a van. Bullseye is now ready to attack her, but just in time, Daredevil arrives to save her. Bullseye throws a sharp blade at Daredevil, but he quickly moves away. Bullseye is surprised. His aim never fails, but it did this time. Bullseye decides to get rid of Daredevil. He tries to crush Matt with his motorcycle, but Matt kicks him hard in the head and knocks him off. In reality, Kingpin sends Bullseye to kill Nicholas. Bullseye grabs Daredevil's baton and throws it directly at Nicholas. This time, his aim is flawless. Nicholas is hit and collapses. Elektra notices this and believes Daredevil is the one who attacked her father. She shoots at Daredevil without pausing. When her bullets run out, she rushes to her father and cries uncontrollably, but it's already too late to get him to the hospital. Following Nicholas's death, Matt returns home. He is angry and blames himself. He resents that he was unable to protect the woman he loves. The next day, Bullseye murders one of Kingpin's Kingpin's security guards and walks straight into his office. Bullseye is highly praised by Kingpin because he not only killed Nicholas, but also made it appear as if Daredevil did it. However, Bullseye is not yet ready to stop. For the first time in his life, he misses his mark. Now, he seeks vengeance and decides to murder Daredevil. Meanwhile, Elektra plans a funeral for her father. Wilson Fisk also attends the event. After the funeral, Matt approaches Elektra as she walks to her car. Just then, it begins to rain, and Matt briefly believes he can see Elektra again. Before leaving, Elektra vows to exact revenge for her father's death, but Matt claims that revenge will solve nothing. Elektra ignores his words and departs. At that point, Ben approaches Matt and claims to have secret information that can help Steve's case. Ben admits that Lisa used to be his informant. However, she fell in love with a gangster who works for Kingpin. Lisa once told Ben about a man named Officer Mackenzie, who later provided false testimony in court against Steve. After hearing this, Matt sneaks into Officer Mackenzie's car that night and handcuffs him. Then Matt recklessly drives the car, causing numerous near accidents to scare Mackenzie into telling the truth. Finally, Mackenzie admits he lied in court because Kingpin threatened him. He claims that anyone who disobeys Kingpin ends up like Nicola. Elektra might be next. Meanwhile, Foggy stays up all night at the office, looking for clues to Lisa's murder. With the help of his secretary Karen Page, he realizes that the letters Matt discovered in Lisa's house were upside down. Foggy soon realizes that WAO stands for Wesley Owen Welch, a man who works for Wilson Fisk. The next morning, Ben goes to the morgue to meet a friend who shows him the weapon used to kill Nicholas. When they twist the weapon's button, a metal rod slides out, transforming into a cane similar to one used by the visually impaired. This confirms that it belonged to the Daredevil. At the same time, Foggy calls Ben and tells him he has discovered a significant clue in Lisa's case. Later that night, Matt prepares to fight Bullseye. On the other hand, Elektra is working hard with her swords to exact revenge on her father. Soon, as Daredevil searches for Bullseye, Elektra attacks him with full force with her swords. Daredevil defends himself and repeatedly tries to convince her that he did not kill Nicholas. However, Elektra refuses to listen. Throughout the fight, Matt avoids all of her attacks. He doesn't fight back because he wants Elektra to understand he isn't her enemy. However, Elektra refuses to stop. Finally, she stabs Daredevil in the chest with her sword. Before leaving, she expresses a desire to look into the eyes of her father's killer. Elektra wants to know the truth, so she takes off Daredevil's mask. She is completely taken aback when she discovers her boyfriend Matt hiding behind the mask. She realizes that Matt was not the one who killed her father. A few moments later, Bullseye appears. Matt quickly instructs Elektra to hide, but she refuses. Instead, she takes revenge by throwing a knife at Bullseye, but Bullseye catches the knife in midair and throws it back at her. It hits her hand. Elektra painfully pulls the knife from her hand and, ignoring the pain, rushes to confront Bullseye. But Bullseye is an accomplished fighter who has never lost a fight. Within moments, he throws Elektra to the ground and attacks her with a sharp playing card, cutting her neck. When Matt notices his girlfriend in danger, he tries to help her, but he is so weak that he cannot even stand properly. Meanwhile, Bullseye grabs Elektra by the neck and stabs her in the stomach with a sword, ensuring she does not survive. Suddenly, a police helicopter appears in the sky and instructs Bullseye to surrender. But instead, Bullseye throws a rose at Elektra and flees. Elektra is severely injured, but she crawls over to Matt because she wants to die in his arms. A few moments later, Matt hears her heart stop. He realizes Elektra has vanished forever. When Matt hears the police approaching, he flees into the night, leaving Elektra's body behind. Later on, Detective Nick Manolis discovers Elektra's body. Matt hides in a church to avoid the police. Father Everett assists him and treats his injuries. Bullseye then enters the church. He throws a knife at Father Everett to signal his arrival. Matt quickly tells Father Everett to leave through the back door and call the cops. The final battle between Daredevil and Bullseye begins. Bullseye attacks Daredevil in a variety of ways, but he defends himself with his special stick. Matt injures Bullseye and pursues him as he attempts to flee. They both end up hanging from church pillars when a swarm of bats attacks them. Matt falls, but before hitting the ground, he swings himself back up with his rope and continues to fight. During this intense fight, Bullseye begins to realize that he will lose. He tries to flee, but Matt does not let him go. Bullseye throws all of his blades at Daredevil, but Matt catches them in midair and returns them to him. The blades strike Bullseye on the forehead, and he falls out the church window. Even so, Bullseye picks up broken glass and attempts to attack Daredevil again. Matt, on the other hand, expertly avoids them. Bullseye finally devises a plan. He begins ringing the church bell loudly in order to hurt Daredevil's ears. His trick works, and Daredevil covers his ears in pain from the loud bell sound. Meanwhile, police officers enter the church. Bullseye continues to attack Daredevil cruelly, exploiting his weakness and intentionally making more noise. While fighting, Bullseye reveals that Wilson Fisk is the true kingpin. He claims that whenever Wilson's men kill someone, they leave a rose on the body as a signature. Hearing this, Matt realizes that Wilson's men also killed his father many years ago. Bullseye is about to stab Matt in the heart and kill him, but Daredevil saves him at the last moment. Suddenly, Daredevil hears a police gunshot and moves Bullseye's hand into the way, causing the bullet to strike Bullseye instead. Bullseye, now injured, falls to his knees in front of Daredevil. Then Daredevil picks him up and throws him out the window, crashing into Ben's car windshield. Daredevil then decides to finally take down Kingpin for good. When he arrives at Wilson Fisk's building, he notices that Wilson is already waiting for him. Wilson is extremely strong, so fighting him is difficult. Wilson lifts Matt and throws him through a glass door. Daredevil is in great pain due to the loud sound of the breaking glass. Wilson seizes the opportunity to smash Matt into the wall. Then Wilson takes out a rose from his desk and takes off Daredevil's mask. When he sees Matt's face, he is stunned. He cannot believe a blind lawyer is New York's most powerful superhero. Just as Wilson is about to kill Matt, Matt activates the fire sprinklers. Matt can see again as water falls thanks to the sound of raindrops. Now he launches a devastating attack on Wilson. At that point, police sirens become louder. Matt learns that Ben told Detective Nick the truth about Kingpin. Wilson will now be arrested and face the rest of his life in prison. Matt leaves him there and quietly returns home. The following day, Steve is declared innocent and free of all charges after Foggy proves in court that Wesley killed Lisa on Wilson's orders. Later that day, Matt visits the church to meet Father Everett. There he meets Ben. Ben informs him that he is writing a new story titled Blind Justice, in which he intends to reveal Daredevil's true identity to the world. However, after finishing the article, Ben decides to delete everything. He believes that if Daredevil does not patrol the streets, who will protect the city from criminals? If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.